See the tree, how big it's grown, but friend, it hasn't been too long, it wasn't big. I laughed at her and she got mad. The first day that she planted it was just a twig.
Before 1968, Bobby Goldsboro had never appeared on the country chart. A one-time member of Roy Orbison's band, he gained his first hit as a solo performer in 1964 with See the Funny Little Clown, a self-penned single that reached number 9 on the pop chart. However, Bobby failed to return to the top 10 until 1968, when Honey went to number 1 on both the Billboard Hot 100 pop chart as well as that publication's country chart. Goldsboro and producer Bob Montgomery had to make a deal to record the song in the first place. The composer of Honey, Bobby Russell, had produced a cut of it with former Kingston Trio member Bob Shane, and Russell only allowed Goldsboro and Montgomery to record it with a strict agreement that it couldn't be released without Russell's approval, and until Shane's record finished its run. The session at which Goldsboro recorded Honey took place in Nashville on the evening of January 30th, 1968 at Music City Music Hall, RCA Studio A. Montgomery later told Jim Bickard of Billboard magazine, "We cut it perfectly on the very first take. Everyone looked at each other as if to say, 'Is that it? Did we miss something?' We all knew the first cut was perfect, but we did it again just to be sure, and it came out just as good the second time, so we went with the second take." In a rare occurrence, all of the musicians stayed around long enough to hear the playback in the control room. Pianist Larry Butler, who years later would gain fame as Kenny Rogers' producer, recalled, "All of us who played that night knew that Honey was going to be a huge record. In fact, most of us called our wives at home so we could play it for them over the phone." Bob Shane's record on the Decca label was still in release, though, and Montgomery had to stick by his agreement to keep the Goldsboro version in the can until Bobby gave the green light to issue it. According to Montgomery, the promotions man at Decca, Bob Holliday, who had been assigned to work Shane's record, phoned him and said, "If you call Russell right now, he'll tell you to go ahead and issue Goldsboro's recording because he's mad at Decca over something." In reality, Russell was probably more mad at Holliday than the label because Shane's version of Honey was going nowhere. So Montgomery called him, and sure enough, Bobby angrily said, "I don't give a hoot what you do." So, Honey, this time by Bobby Goldsboro, was rush released on the United Artists label, and within its first 3 weeks on the market sold 1 million copies, on its way to global sales of well over 6 million. It was the biggest selling record worldwide for the entire year of 1968 in all fields of music, and was one of only 4 records to reach the number 1 position on both the country and the pop charts during the entire decade of the 1960s. The dawn of the decade saw the first one, Marty Robbins' El Paso, in January of 1960. Then Jimmy Dean's Big Bad John topped both playlists in the fall of '61, and Jeannie C. Riley's Harper Valley PTA matched Goldsboro's accomplishment in 1968. As for Bobby Goldsboro, he had only one other top 10 record during the remaining years of his career, 1971's Watching Scotty Grow, which made it to number 7 only on Billboard's country chart. He never again scored another top 10 pop hit after Honey.
And see the tree, how big it's grown, but friend, it hasn't been too long, it wasn't big. And I laughed at her and she got mad. The first day that she planted it was just a twig.